Hi, guys. Welcome to Let Loose with Lou. I am here today with my co host, Steve,
What's up, guys?
my
Good to be
co
here.
host, Melon.
She's here. Hi.
She's here. And I just have to really quick, I'm going to introduce my guest and then I have something to show you guys. My guest, Jason Gonzalez. Yay! Thank you, Jason. And before we start, I need to, hey, I'm going to show everybody my attire. Okay? Ooh, thank you. This is from Melon's Boudoir. I love this outfit. Thank you so much, Melon.
You're welcome.
The material is very light.
Feels
It's
good, huh?
super soft. It's like buttery soft. It's like
Yeah.
when you first buy the Lululemon
Yes.
and the attire's like really soft and you just kind of like, yeah.
You wear it well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Just had to show our audience how beautiful my jumper is from Melon's Boudoir.
Very nice, very nice. Nice
Thank you.
color.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So today, guys, we are here with Jason. He's joining us today, and we have a really good topic.
We do have a good topic.
Yeah.
Tonight, we're going to talk about men's mental health.
And that is one of
Men's
Steve's
mental
favorite.
health.
What do you think?
I think it's very important. I'm glad that we're talking about it. I
I
don't
think
think
it's
I
important
think
too.
it's still kind of a
Like a
taboo almost.
taboo, right?
Like it's almost discouraged. So
I
it's
agree
good. It's good that
too.
we're talking about that. Thank you for making that happen.
Absolutely. And it's not only taboo like in just gender like male and female, but also in a lot of like family like race, right? Like I know like Mexicans, like we don't there's no way we're going to raise a kid that's a
Mhm.
crybaby, right? The first thing that happens you get your butt whooped. Like
Mhm.
that's a no-no.
Mhm.
So I thinking that's probably where it stems like early on and it's sad because parents don't understand the damage that they do to their children as the children grow older.
Yeah, so let's break into it. Some of these things you guys might already know, or you guys out there who are watching might already know, but like it's a serious deal, man. We're human beings too. We have our own thoughts, we have our own feelings, we have our own kind of bumps and bruises and injuries, and you know, if you want to compare men to women pound for pound, and I know this as I'm a therapist, is that men typically report for depression more frequently, and they're more um, to report suicidality, and they're more
Totally agree.
effective in actually executing themselves versus
Mhm.
women. So it's a really serious deal. Like it's a big thing. And in my experience as a man myself, and also as a pro, is there's a lot of dudes who just still don't feel enough permission to say what's really going on. So
And why do you think that is? Let's see.
well, why don't we kick it out to the team?
All
Jason,
right.
what do you think, man? What would you say about this?
I would say it's that whole outlook on you need to suck it up and get through it. It's that's I mean, personally, that's how I was raised. Is any little thing, it was, hey, you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about,
True. Yeah.
or suck it up and keep moving.
Hmm.
So I mean, that's kind of
Were you the first of how many siblings do you
I
have?
have one brother.
One brother,
Yes,
older or
younger.
younger? Younger.
So I
So
was the
you were the
first.
oldest,
Yes.
yeah. So you really got
Yep.
like yes, yes, yes.
Hmm.
Well,
And
I
that
think like where we're going at first about childhood. Girls are supposed to be nice and prissy. Boys, you're supposed to be tough and rugged, and you don't cry, and you're the man.
mhm.
And the girls, you can cry, it's okay. So that growing up, that's the way the men see them. They can't express their feelings. They come in, oh, I scratched myself, mommy. You know what? You better tough it up and go outside and act like a boy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that's that little bit
Mhm.
actually starts creating what they end up being as adults, feeling that
Mhm.
I can't express this because people are going to look at me and they're going to talk about me, call me a sissy, whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think too, like also I remembered one time my older boy was because my I had my daughter and both of my kids are like months apart, and about a year and a half apart. And I remember, she's playing with her dolls, and he went to play with her dolls. And I don't know if it was an uncle, the dad was like, "Oh, don't play with that doll. You're not a sissy." And I was like, "Wait a minute." But realistically, how would a child learn to love and be tender, with a baby or their own children if they don't hold? Like, I don't know. I just thought that was. Why are you laughing at me?
I don't know about
It
that.
no, see, and
Oh yeah.
I'm serious,
Right.
like, I really thought, like, I was like, "Why shouldn't like, what do you want him to do? Like, beat the damn doll? Like, no, like, he should be able to know how to care, like, I don't know,
And he should put
Well,
lipstick on and a
I
wig,
think
right?
I think it's
no.
important to kind of come from a historical place
Mhm,
too, right? I think everybody will agree that whatever culture you're from, whatever part of the world you're from, like men are boys. We're culturally trained to do what you're talking about. We're culturally trained to be strong, to use our intelligence, and to figure out how to be unaffected by our own emotions and our own life. And I'm not saying there's not value in that. There's value in, as a boy, a teenager, as a man, learning how to navigate the world with your intellect and being able to tolerate life's discomforts, right?
mhm.
And it's culturally entrained in pretty much in every single man from any culture.
Right.
But what we're remiss in is most dudes then, as a result of that, and if we're gonna look at human history, is we have not a fucking clue about how we actually feel.
Not
Mhm.
on
Right.
yeah, or
And
how to feel.
because we don't know how the fuck we feel, then we get our ass into all kinds of trouble. This is where
True.
male depression comes
Yes.
in, or
Alcohol
fights, or
rants,
yeah,
drug
alcohol,
rants,
drugs, any other kind of bad habits like escaping into gambling, or popping
womanizing.
off, womanizing, or
Ooh.
becoming very quiet and resigned, becoming very nice and friendly and accommodating, any number of strategies to sort of get around emotions, or not let them be found or revealed by another man or another woman who may take advantage of them. So it's an oldie but a goodie we're talking about tonight.
So, like to me as a woman, if I see a man expressing himself on his sensitive side, where he will cry in front of me, because most men are taught not to cry. You don't cry, and some of them will go and they're crying in a corner by themselves. It's almost like one of those closet eaters.
Yes, but
So
that's
yeah,
dangerous.
so they're holding all that in, and I understand when men holding it in, and when they get to a point where they break, then
Mhm.
you start getting that because, wanting to drink or something because it kind of hurts. It hurts us as women, and we are strong women. So we can understand exactly that because we raised our children and we have to show that strong side of us for our children. So I can imagine what the men have to go through,
But see, not necessarily just do we have all that. Also, our advantage is that we're really good about, hey, Melon, you have a minute? Oh my God, I'm frustrated. I got to explain to you what happened at home. Like, da 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 da,
and
we,
cry. Yeah.
and we'll cry it out and we'll explain and give each other. Do you want to hear me? Do you want me to hear you? Do you want me to give you advice? What do you need? What do you want? Do you need to get out? Do you want, get some air? Right away, we become like Mother Goose. We're like,
Nurtures.
what do you need?
Yeah.
What can we do to make things better? We have that. Men don't do that. At least I don't think that you guys talk about your problems or, pain, right? Wrong?
Not typical.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Not typical. It
No.
does exist, but to your point, I would say that like women stereotypically are emotionally superior and they're relationally superior. They naturally will kind of just get together. They'll keep tabs with each other. They'll be able to vent to each other, and men are much less likely to do that. Our conversations are about sports,
Mhm.
work, and maybe complaints, or
Do
the
you guys
woman we're
know
dating.
You guys don't bitch about your wife at home?
There can be some
A
bitching.
little bit.
There
A
can be
little
some
A little bit
bitching.
of that.
But we don't know how typically to be sharing emotions and don't necessarily know how to receive emotions.
So I wonder,
So
like, if there was, like, a moment where you're like, "Hey, Steve, I'm having this problem." But see, it would be easy to talk to you, though, because this is your profession, so you would understand, you would emotionally welcome.
yeah, I would.
Yeah.
So where I've come and gone is I'll just give you a little bit of background on me that sort of informs more of my experience and expertise on this. So one is I would say, like a lot of men, my dad was a rigid, more angry type of guy who later in his life softened and got acquainted with his own feelings. And how that impacted me was I became quiet. I became very accommodating, very nice, very friendly.
Mm.
And I wouldn't say that as in like a complimentary, like these are great habits, like but as like bad habits. I became this nice, complimentary, quiet, go along with kind of person. Um, and because he was angry, and some men do this, right? Like I learned more about like the feminine energetic, which is like more emotional and intuitive. I got very good at interpreting his emotions for my own safety,
Mhm.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
and I foregone my own emotions, right? And so I didn't really develop more of like, let's say, the opposite
That's survival
of
skill.
it was a survival skill,
It
but I
was
didn't
a
I didn't I
survival
didn't
skill.
get to develop what I would consider real mature masculinity until my adulthood, where I really learned how to balance emotion with intellect and flow with like firmness. And I learned that in therapy, and I learned that in men's organizations. So I should just say, if you're looking for that, there are different men's organizations that are emotionally intelligent and skilled around
Mhm.
developing a man's ability to share how he feels and also receive the emotions from another man.
And
But like,
that's good to know.
yeah, and we can talk about that. I spent about 10, 12 years in one of those organizations,
Yes.
training and learning what I'm talking about
So we're gonna
tonight.
we're gonna have to put your information. We'll have Solomon pull it up in case there's any men out there that feel that they need to address some situations or take something off their chest, because realistically, it's a huge thing, and it does matter, and it should matter, and it shouldn't be overseen.
Yeah, so I would say go to therapy. If you're looking for a men's organization, the one I like the best is the one I participate in. I think the website right now is mensteam.org. A very healthy place to learn about what we're talking about tonight. But I'll just say one more thing,
Mhm.
and then I want to, I know I'm talking a lot. I want to share the floor.
He's
Is
excited.
I'm
This
excited.
is
This is
his
my one of my areas. This is one of
forte.
my areas. Is uh, it's very hard for men to go out into the world and have to wear this strong mask all the time around other men and other women, right? And then it's even harder sometimes when you have to go home and you have a wife or children who also don't know how to receive your vulnerability, and then it's double lonely. And
Yeah.
then those showers can be kind of sad, those drives in the car can be
Or the
really.
fights in the household
I'm talking
that
about
are
just, yeah,
horrible.
those, but I'm talking about being alone.
Oh, got
Like
it, yeah.
a man who has to go out in the world and can't reveal himself, and then comes home if he's married or has a girlfriend, and she doesn't know how to deal with his feelings, is double lonely. And that dude will have some sad showers and some sad car drives and some like frustrations. And those can turn into like real anxieties and addictions and depressions. And
Even
anyway,
suicidal thoughts, because
suicidal thoughts,
huge. I think
right?
that's
And
huge.
many a man has been chomped up and chewed up and spit out by what we're talking about.
What do you feel?
I feel he's right. Um, Again, just those car drives. Sometimes those car drives can get you. Me personally, again, I spend a lot of time alone, even at work. Um, Whether I'm driving a trans or driving a top, it's I'm by myself
Mhm.
for however many hours I'm there, and it's one of those things. Did I have a good conversation, or when I left home from work, was I in a good spot, or was I in a good place, or did I have a bunch of stuff going on? And then when I get to work, it's can I shut that off?
Mhm.
Can I shut that off and can I focus and do what I got to do? Or Is it gonna play with me? And a lot of times it plays with you,
Yeah.
because yeah, it's a lot of alone time.
So, do you, for your male mental health, where do you feel it's stemmed? Or do you have certain issues that you would like to bring up that we could try to resolve or figure out or, come to conclusions? What are your, not ideas, but
Do you have something
your,
you
Or
wanna
said in
share?
another way, like what are some of those emotions? Like
yes.
what are some of those thoughts when you're alone and you're kind of like working
Well,
it
a
out?
lot of the thoughts are, am I doing enough?
Mhm.
Mm.
I'm a dad of 3 boys, and that is one of the biggest things is, am I doing enough?
Mhm.
Did I do enough before? Did I make sure? Did I get all this done? Did I, line them up? And then I get to work, and it's the same thing.
Mhm.
I'm at work and it's okay. Like, oh my God, their lunch, are their clothes ready? Like my
So,
oldest, like, and then sports, like, okay, is all their stuff ready?
so you're raising these three boys on your
Yes.
own?
Oh,
Not
No.
completely on my own.
Okay,
oh.
okay, not complete, like 50-50.
Yes.
Okay, so when you do have them, then you get the load of, "Okay, are they going to school? Did I make sure?" I get what you're
Yes.
saying,
But
okay.
even with my 50-50,
Mhm,
I've the way it's kind of been set up
mhm,
is I still carry everything
mhm,
with their sports.
mhm. Yes.
Mhm,
Um,
right.
yeah, I mean, I've coached all 3 of them
Mhm,
up until the point where now my oldest
mhm,
is
mhm,
in high school,
mhm,
and I still help him.
mhm,
He enjoys me helping him with
mhm,
his sport,
mhm.
but we're at the point now where I need to let him go, but at the same time, it's a constant, like, is he
Like, you
getting what he
wanna
needs? Did I
yes.
set him up the right way? Does he have everything? And
Mhm.
so it's a constant,
Mm.
and that's where either at the beginning of the day or end of the day, it's always that, did I do enough?
Did I do enough? So, do you feel that you pull back because you don't wanna raise them the way that you were raised, like, stronger? Or
So at this point, I'm trying to
mhm,
give. I still want them to have some of that what we talk about, that
mhm.
old school
Yes.
mentality. I still want to have that in them.
Mhm.
At the same time, I want the new school,
Yes.
because I the last thing I want is
Mhm.
for them to not be able to express themselves
Yes.
the way that I was told.
Yes.
The
Yes.
way that I was brought up is,
Yes.
that old school style.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So I want to kind of give a mixture of
Mhm.
that.
And I think that's really important because I feel also that because of the way boys were raised past, I feel like that's how a lot of kids, were molested and they didn't say nothing because they were taught to shut up, like suck it up, be quiet. That's how I feel like because I always tell my younger kid, especially with playing sports, nobody should be spanking that ass. No. And if it feels uncomfortable to you, you need to speak up because nobody should be tapping that ass. No, like, like I get freaked out about stuff like that because that's how things start. I mean, I'm not in a jockey gym room with all the guys, but I was raised with a lot of brothers. I had 5 older brothers. You know how my brothers were.
Mhm.
They're tough. They're, nobody's crying. Nobody in that family is crying. So, it's hard, because you don't at the same token, yeah, you're trying to raise your kid like a boy, but you want them to be able to come to you and express themselves.
Right, it's both. It's both.
You gotta find
Right.
that
So one
medium.
of the things I'm very proud of in my own development, which is like my offer when I work with men, is the ability to kind of drive what I call both like mature masculine and mature feminine. Right. So what he was talking about is like the feminine would be, uh, man, I'm a little nervous that I'm not doing enough. Like, did I pack the lunches? Am I setting them up to win? It's a type of a fear, and being able to kind of go, I have that fear. I don't want to fall short, right? On the one hand, and on the other, kind of going, okay, and we have work to do. So we're gonna lock and load, and we're gonna move. We're gonna do some things. We're gonna use our intelligence, and being able to bring that same fathering to sons, right? And being able to say, "All right, guys, look, all right, man, I get it. You're afraid of playing in the game today. That's normal. Yeah, it's a little bit scary. And tell me about that. Okay, now let's do it. Right? You got to swing the bat today. You're either gonna hit the ball or you're not. And Dad loves you. Okay,
Mm.
so here we go. And being able to offer both as you like father and raise sons so that hopefully they can do what you're saying, right? Like be solid, but also express what's inside.
And you know who's a prime example? We can look at some stars like Michael Jackson and
Yes.
Prince and all them that went through how they couldn't express their emotions,
That's a good
as being men, and they had to kind of
shelter their
play with
feelings.
a rat and whatever the case may be. Ben,
Ben,
no, but that's true
no, I
because
know what you,
the
yes.
thing
No, yes.
is that you have if you have sons and you're sitting there and you're crying, your sons sit up there like, "What's wrong with dad?" That's not normal for boys to see their father or girls to see their father crying. So
It's a form of
you have to man up.
yes. Because it's a
So
like a form of weakness per
correct,
se.
correct. So it's like you said, there's places that you can go, but even you go to those places, I don't know if they, you start crying and they look at you funny or what.
You learn how to do that. It's like one of the things I think is missing, right? Which is what part of why this podcast is cool is there are really not too many modern male friendships or men's circles where you can really let it rip and
Right.
like be in your feelings,
Right.
right? And the idea of that is why it's important is like once it's done, like typically what happens with a man different than a woman is men will have an emotional blast. It'll come out and they're typically able to process and let it go.
Right.
Versus like a women tend to hold on to things longer. They remember things longer. But like men having an opportunity to have other men support their emotions is very, very healthy. And so we don't have a lot of that. But
But that's the way
those
I noticed the guys, the sports thing, um, or the bar thing, it's all guys. It's our guy thing, they
Mhm.
have our man cave. And that's the way that they express their self amongst their self, not necessarily you have to cry. I mean, it doesn't say that doesn't mean that you're expressing your emotion. But when you want to be with the guys and just have that I don't know, that bond where you feel like you guys probably are on the same page. You guys kind of have that vibe, without saying anything,
Mhm.
and it kind of eases each other. Because I sit down and watch the guys when they're all together with in the football, and it's just like you're looking like wow, and they're just so happy and relieved and released. And I think that's kind of a way that they kind of express their emotions, but not the way we women will do it.
Mhm.
It's
It's
kind of
totally
one of
different.
those. It's an escape.
Hmm.
You know, go watch some football with with the guys, and that's kind of what we're doing is just watching football.
Right.
There's no, hey, I'm not bringing like, hey, we're sitting watching the game. Hey, guess what happened to me this week? It's kind of like I get to escape for that little bit of
The
time,
time.
and whatever else is going on is kind of I forgot all about it
Yeah.
until
It's almost like putting some
A
right,
Band-Aid.
on. Yeah.
So
right.
this
so it can be, right? A lot of times for us, it's like we're doing exactly what Jason said. We're having fun, we're escaping, it's a distraction, but behind the scenes we can still be hurting,
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
right? We can be hurting.
it
And it's hard because the truth is it comes out anyway. Like our emotions come out anyway. What
like, I think it comes yeah, like a bomb, it explodes.
or it comes out in these like sneaky little ways, you know? But it will come out. And so it's just hard. Like I'm sure you've experienced I've experienced this where you thought you could say something or you didn't even mean to. The emotion comes out and then someone really criticizes you and then you have to put it back in very abruptly and it sucks. Or you tried to do that, you took a risk with your girlfriend or your wife, and you're like, I'm gonna say what's really bothering me. And then boom, you get criticized immediately for that
It's a
emotion.
So with
Right. And then
that, like in relationships, I've noticed when when I were to bring if something was bothering me, if I were to bring it to the person I'm in a relationship with, if it bothers them, now what ends up happening is now we're addressing
yeah,
their feelings of why it's bothering them.
yeah.
So can I
So
ask
my emotion or whatever it is that was bothering me really does not ever get addressed.
address.
It
Mhm.
So
gets moved to the side and okay, I'm now let's talk about your feelings because it bothers you.
Hmm.
so you're not married right now or
No.
okay. And so, you were married, now you guys have 50-50. But in your relationship, do you feel that's when it started, the more, of dismissing of your feelings, of your emotions?
Me, no.
No?
No, I think this is for my emotion, for
Mhm,
my I think this is something that has
mhm.
stemmed from when I was really young.
Okay.
It was always that, and because again, it was so much as simple as, "Hey, did you do your homework?"
Mhm,
"Yep."
mhm.
"Did I do it?" "Nope." And when I get caught, yep, I
Yep.
100%.
Yeah.
It would come out, and
Get an ass
it would be
whooping?
an ass whooping,
Mhm.
and that was what it was. And
Yeah,
then from there on, it was just it was survival.
yeah.
You know,
You're
it
doing
turned into
survival.
survival. And as the older I got, it just continued and continued and
Yeah.
continued.
And that's, that was my first oldest. Like, he would lie about those things, and it's like he would get caught and he'd get his ass whooped, and it's like, was it worth it? But he's so, I don't wanna say tough, but he's like a wall, because of the years of that's what he you build a child, you build a boy to become like a brick wall, basically. Like, I feel that's what you raise them to be when but how do you break that
So
cycle?
that's what I'm trying to learn now.
Yes.
At
And
44, I'm trying to learn that
mm,
now because that was what was built basically.
Yes.
Is
So
because
if you had all your way, what are you trying to create within yourself?
what I'm trying to create is I'm trying to create both. I want to be able to be the masculine, but able to express myself at the same
Express.
time because I want to teach my boys that
It's
it's
okay.
okay. You know, I don't
Absolutely.
want them, and I catch myself sometimes like they get hurt or they hurt their finger or something when they're playing, and I'm like, "What are you doing crying, man? Like, get up. What are you doing?"
That's
And then I
hard.
catch myself, and then I'm like, "Okay," like I catch myself having to figure out I can't tell him it's not okay to cry.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
and and it's true. So you catch yourself when you have a boy, you're gonna understand. There's a huge difference.
you
And
don't have any boys?
I think I do understand. I don't think I need to be a father to
Yeah.
a son to know this.
well, no, well,
I think
true,
I think
because
I
you
think
were a
what
son.
Jason's talking
Yeah.
about is really important and healthy, which is the ability to do both. The ability to know when you're to be like solid and firm and shake it off, and when to be soft and in your emotions, and being able to do both. I think that's what makes like a
See,
real killer.
but I think that
Like when
when
he was saying, Lou, like with like baseball, right? It's a judgment call of like certain times he's gonna say, "All right, son, shake that off.
Right.
You're okay, shake
yeah,
that off."
but
Right?
you
He's not gonna give it much weight. And
no,
there's other times where he's gonna go, "Whoa, all right, like let's like, all right, let me have it." And let him express and let him talk for a minute before you say, "Okay, now shake it off.
Right.
Dust yourself
A
off." Like you
balance.
can't rush
yeah.
that. If you rush that, then that all that does is it teaches the kid that he's an idiot and it's negative and his emotions don't matter and becoming ashamed of himself, and he's gonna go and strike out anyway,
Yeah, but
right?
see, like
Versus
you said, it has to be that balance. And because of the way that he was raised with hardcoreness, it's hard. It's hard to backtrack and push yourself back. Like it's hard. And it's understanding like I raised my daughter completely different than my son. And it was just because of the mentality. One's a girl, one's a boy. One could take a better ass whooping than the other one can, because one's a girl, one's a boy. So and it's not that I chose it, like, when you're raised, you just follow those patterns, unfortunately.
right?
You follow those patterns without realizing if it's right from wrong. Now, with my younger one, I've learned with my 2 older ones, so I don't wanna keep repeating the same mistakes. My older daughter says, "Oh, you're look at the way you raise him, you don't beat his ass the way you beat our asses." Well, guess what? I learned, and I don't want that for him. I'm sorry that, you got your ass beat, but,
Well, once again, I'm not against whooping their ass when they need their ass
No,
whooped.
and I agree
Because
too.
I can tell you that. But then one thing that I do say is that, some people get it mixed up with sensitive and strength. And then you have the little sissy little boys that want to be girls now.
Mhm,
And then you have the girls, let's not just leave it on there, that become the masculine and want to be boys.
mhm.
So you have to, at this day and time, it's a total different thing. Not saying that you can't tell them to be in touch with their
Mhm.
sensitive side, but just don't be your sensitive side.
Yes.
I mean, somewhere you have to
Have
keep
their
it
balance.
divided because there's people out there just trying to, push
Find
this
the
thing
balance.
push
Yes.
this thing on boys or push this thing on girls. Well, we are boys and we are girls. We are two different people, different sex, and our emotions are different yet the same. If you
Mm.
guys can understand what I'm
No,
saying about
totally
that.
get that.
So
Yeah.
the way we as women handle things will be different from the way a man would handle things.
Like, we're hormonal.
Well, I think a lot of men are hormonal too. I
I
think it's something
agree.
to do with the almond milk.
The
But
almond milk.
and I understand that. So we just have to find the balance. I
The
think the
balance.
the main word is
The
balance.
balance.
Uh-huh.
Balance.
To be able to allow our children, well, I don't have any children, but the younger children to learn, okay, if I'm feeling this kind of way, go ahead and be in touch with yourself that you're feeling like if you
Yeah.
ever go in a room and cry, you don't have to cry in front of everybody, or you don't even have to cry, but just understand I'm sad.
Yeah. That's
I'm
true.
mad, I'm sad, these feelings are there. I'm not going to brush them away. Why am I try and find out why am I sad?
But you could even take like a couple of minutes. Like my son was so devastated that he didn't make the soccer team, right? And he cried. Like he was so devastated. And he was just like furious and he like broke out and cried. And his dad's this, big
Samoan.
freaking Samoan, God forbid you cry, and I was like, you need to let him have that minute. Like let him because it's important. It's important. Like
He's having a feeling.
he's
Let him
yes, you
just have
can't
this for a
dismiss
minute.
it. And and
Right.
like you said, there is times and there's places where okay, and you no, you don't cry right now, but I told him go home. As soon as he went home, he ran upstairs, locked himself in the room, and I told him if you want to cry in the room, go ahead and cry, pout, kick, whatever you want. When you come out of that room, you come out fresh. Come out fresh, start off new.
I had a boyfriend and it was strange to me because he cried all the time.
Mhm.
And it was weird to me like and you know what I started doing? I started punking him like 'cause
See?
I did, because I mean, here you had
Is
he's a
it too
grown
much?
man. He is a grown man, and we get into something, and he starts crying. I'm like, we, and I just probably should have went in the room and did it. He shouldn't have did it in front of me, but he would cry all the time, like waterworks. Then I started like ignoring it because I thought it was just attention. I said, oh, he just does that for attention now, but that was just my thought because of
Mhm.
course I was a young lady
Well,
dating a,
and
a
yes.
man 6'5", three
Did
hundred
he have
pounds.
sisters?
Yes, he was very
I
sensitive.
I've
Yeah,
started to notice that guys
That have
that I
sisters
know that
tend
had sisters tend to be able to they usually have more of both
right,
because they
yes,
dealt with their sisters and they seen their
that's
sisters and
true.
their emotions and all that stuff as
right,
opposed to I'm just boys.
right,
And now that's the thing. So that's where I'm trying to help with my boys because I don't want them to deal with all this, emotional stuff too. Um, but yeah, it's I've noticed that when you come from a house full of just boys, it's a lot different than when you came out of a house with girls and sisters and stuff.
right,
True. That's very
right.
true.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
Yeah,
you
like
have that emotional support with
Right.
girls.
Right.
Yeah,
You don't have it
You
with
see
tho
it
boys.
different.
Right,
those boys have had a chance to develop what are called
mhm,
emotional intelligence, which is what Jason's talking about. Like, I wanna,
mhm,
at this time in my life, become more emotionally intelligent, be able to do both really, really well.
yes.
right,
I'll tell you guys something, maybe this is a good place to end, what
I
we'll see
agree.
is, regardless of gender, male or female, some of the data that's coming out says categories of, loving and permissive parenting style or negative and critical parenting style or loving and firm parenting style, that the first two, if you're loving and permissive, that one actually produces the most mental health problems. If you're
Mhm.
overly permissive with a kid, that causes them problems,
yeah,
right? If you're overly negative and rigid, it's going to cause them problems.
right,
But what we're all talking about is actually this thing is like, how do you conduct yourself and with your kids in a way that's loving and firm, and that those kids grow up into pretty healthy men and women.
Mm.
Right.
Yes, and focusing in raising healthy men, our boys into men, because that's what we want. Like, we want our boys to grow up knowing that it's okay to cry. It's okay, to ask questions. But you know what? We're going to wrap it up, but we're going to do a part 2 to this one because this is such a great topic. So we're going to wrap it up, guys. We will see you on the following week. Thank you guys for viewing. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and follow.
Add a comment. See you next time.
Yes, make sure you comment. Bye.
Bye.